before we start with the questions, you receive a document with the questions so that you can have an idea about what is the topic. But I can explain you very briefly what is our project about and what is the main goal of the interview. I'm going to share the screen with you.
Yep.
With the question and the information about the project. See. So I think you can see the Word document with introduction. So our project, I am the technical, maybe a few words about me before the project. My name is Celestino Sanchez, and I am from Spain, but I live in Berlin, and I work for an association called UNEX. This association, the members of our association are universities and research institutes conducting research in the field of railways. We have around 35 members around Europe, like for instance in Madrid, it's Politécnica de Madrid or País Vasco University. And we try to promote the research among our members and to include them in different research projects. So in this framework, we are the technical coordinator of the project ESEP4Freight. And the goal of this project is to promote the modal shift to rail. As you know, that it's a big topic since decades, actually. And to support this, we aim to produce an online portal, including information for different stakeholders so that they can use this tool to, to try to make this modal shift to rail. And this platform will include a CO2 calculator, will include schedules of services, some information about terminals, some information about infrastructure as well. As part of this project, we want to have an overview about the contractual relationship between stakeholders. That will partially, a part of this information will be included in the portal. And that is what is this interview about. The work package leader is UIRR. You probably know them. They are the International Association for Combined Transport in Europe. They are Eric Feyer, that is the work package leader. He's on holiday, so I am conducting the interview in his representation. And the idea of this work package is to better understand what are the contractual relationship between the different stakeholders, and we aim to produce a kind of a standard contract, with certain clauses that we consider that they are more relevant, so that this standard contract can be used later for different actors. That is like the big picture. I don't know if you have any question on this, because I have talked already a few minutes explaining this.
Clear for me.
Okay, so maybe before we start the interview itself, maybe you can say, if you want, you can say a few words about you and your role at DHL in Spain, Maria and Juan Manuel.
Yes, I am the Data Project Delivery Manager and Innovation Lead for Spain and Portugal, and I manage also I manage all the innovation projects and programs inside related to the European Union Commission, and regarding all these consortium that we are very used to work with. So all these projects are under my umbrella in the collaboration part of DHL Spain and Portugal for this.
Thank you very much, Juan Manuel. Maria?
Hi, I'm Maria. I am part of the team that manages the European projects on which the DHL supply chain, both Spain and Portugal, is part of those consortium, and that's my background.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So I think that we can start with the interview itself. I'm going to, I mean, as you know, I am recording the interview, but I'm going to take some notes, and I think it's going to be helpful for everybody if I share the document, so you can also see if I write something wrong or if you want to complement this. In any case, I will use, of course, this note, but I will do the transcription. I will send you the transcription or the main segments, but I think we don't need actually the whole transcription, but only for you to know that there is no misunderstanding or some missing information. So I'm going
very clear.
So then let's start with, I mean, the first question that I have actually answered for you is what organization do you work for? As you have seen, we have here shipper, order, or logistics service provider.
Logistics service provider, you're right.
Okay. So then, yeah, the second question is, could you briefly explain what is your role in the intermodal chain? So what are your main goals, your main task, so to speak?
Yeah, we are users of or customers of the intermodal chain. Okay, we have businesses that are processes or routes of shipments that are managed by DHL Spain and Portugal and are sent through all some countries of Europe and the British Islands, and we use different shippers based on intermodal transportation in order to get our goals of estimated time of arrivals, and some of these processes and loads that we send are sent in the are under the automotive industry. So we demand to these shippers of this service to deliver just on time when these parts of the vehicles are needed at the destination point. So it is a very accurate process and organization. We run it via transport control towers, in which we control through different integration of IT systems all these shippers to guarantee that our loads, our shipments are delivered on time in the other part of Europe, independently if it is started by train, then by boat, by ship, and then by truck or whatever to finally get. In fact, this route I have mentioned, this collaboration is one that we are using currently for an automotive customer of DHL based in the British Islands. We go through truck, then ship, then train, then ship again, and then truck. So we know this very well, and we are used to use this kind of services and to control them, because this is the service that we give to our customers to ensure that the loads they've got in Spain arrive just in time, what we call just in time, to the delivery point.
Okay, so do you contact, for instance, the transport operator? I mean, you get the order from the supplier and you organize the whole supply chain,
yes,
contacting with different transport operator.
Yeah,
okay,
that's it. There is a very important point here, is the transport control tower. It's a service that DHL offers that manage all these parts of the process.
Okay. You already mentioned a bit. The next question is, with whom do you conclude contracts? You mentioned that one of your I don't know if main customer, but important customer is automotive industry. As of course as supplier, with who else do you conclude contracts?
Do you mean the companies, the name of the companies that we?
I mean, no, we don't need the name of the that. I mean, it would be useful the sectors from because I mean you are in the middle. No? You have to conclude contract with transport operator and with suppliers. Yeah, with which sector do you work more often apart from automotive industry?
Fresh fruit.
Okay.
Fresh food, mainly that we collect fresh food from the east part of southeast part of Spain, and we deliver it through whole Europe. Oranges, vegetables, fruits and vegetables mainly.
Okay. And on the other side, with I mean, with a transport operator, you conclude. I mean, that is the contract with supplier, and for the other side, regarding the transport operator and transportation company, which kind of companies do you conclude contract for this?
It is ship freights and train freights and transport truck transport agencies. We only don't use a plane for this kind of.
Okay.
Is the one exception of planes, but all of them, all the rest of the services we count on them.
Okay. I mean, and now we will start with more focused question on contract. As I understand, you are more related to innovation, so I don't know how much knowledge do you have about this. If you see that that is maybe too complicated or whatever, we can forward the question maybe to the department if you see that that is maybe out of scope.
Let's try.
So yeah, that is the next question is about the main elements of the contract. I mean, interesting for us would be to know if you have some kind of standard contract with some blocks that you can use, or do you prepare like a personalized contract for the different actors?
Yeah, it depends on the sector. We try to use the same contract for legal contract. I mean, for every sector, it is the DHL contract. Okay, it is we are the customer. We try to force our providers to use this kind of contracts, as they are specific for every. Because, for instance, for fresh food, you need most of the time temperature control, and you have to keep the cold chain. So you have to be sure that there is tracking services about to ensure the cold chain is kept. And for automotive sector, for instance, the most important thing is to arrive just in time, not before, and for sure not after the part is needed in the chain of how you say it, the construction chain of the car.
Yeah, no, yeah. And in this case, that is, I mean, the idea is that you have like a standard contract and you add some clauses, or do you have a completely different contract?
For every sector, it is mostly the same. It is a standard, because for fresh food, we have always to include this kind of things related to temperature, claims related to the temperature, and even compensation if something is not covered in the middle. And for automotive, for instance, if a container or a truck of parts for the vehicle does not arrive in time, maybe that we can stop the factory of our customer, you know. So we send all these claims. We put all these claims into the contract, that if we receive a claim from our customer that we have not covered the contract with them because the parts have not arrived on time, we put these compensations on the side of our providers. So we include this kind of claims in the contracts.
I mean, because yeah, I know it's the same. No, you have again this relationship with suppliers and transport operator,
customer.
and if because as you mentioned, no, the automotive, you need this just in time. That is very critical, of course, that the product arrives at a certain time. If this doesn't happen, you try to give the risk to the transportation company, I imagine, because they are responsible for this.
Yeah, that's it. We translate or move all the requirements or quality requirements that we get from our customers to our providers, transport providers in this case.
Okay, so you take like kind of, I understand the logic. Like they tell you that if you don't manage to make the delivery at the time and you have to pay whatever, you kind of try to give the same to the,
That's it.
Translate, okay. Okay. And regarding the use of intermodal services, do you get this, let's say, this requirement imposed, proposed, recommended by suppliers, or they don't care? They only want to get their products transported?
This is a very good question, because it sometimes it depends. It depends on the supplier and the customer, on our customer, because sometimes they don't care how you get do you offer the service. The only thing you have to have in mind is that you get the goals of the contract, and the agreements and the commitments, and but in other cases it is included that we have to consolidate some part of our shipments with some other shipments coming from other parts of Europe, for instance, in some point in the middle of Europe, imagine, okay? So pieces coming in half of a truck from Barcelona, for instance, and half of a truck coming of other pieces that both together are one container or one truck, are combined all together and sent to the British Islands, for instance, okay? So it depends. So in this case, we are not recommended, but almost forced to make some kind of intermodal transportation because of these requirements of the customer.
Because the customer itself requires that at some specific point you make the consolidation of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, but that is not big. Oh, please go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
I mean, that is, as I see, that is like a pragmatical reason, no? But that is not, for instance, no environmental consideration, or just because, they
not
want
at this moment. At this moment, just to optimize the loads, to reduce. Well, there is some kind of environmental impact, because if we don't consolidate, as in this example, we will spend more money. 2 trucks, for instance, but it will cost the double that we got with the small or the half trucks in the middle, put all together in one and send all together. If you put all these scales all together, the cost is more reduced than sending 2 trucks independently. So apart from that, it is an impacted environment. There's an environment impact.
But I mean, as I understand that, I mean, you do this because due to efficiency reasons. That is a logistical, technical decision. But
and apart from that, you get additional benefits.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, in this case,
but the main one is efficiency. Yeah, you're right.
And that is something that you decide internally. That is, as I understand right now, it's not that often that the customer asks you, we want a certain percentage in intermodal. It's not happening.
It depends on the contract. It depends. There are customers that decide give us the decision to do it as you want. We just want to our products to be in the destination point at that date at that time. And then in some other ways, we require these intermediate positions or movements that, due to efficiency, are requested by the customer, because the customer is dealing with different logistics service provider, and he's managing how to optimize, how to reduce and improve their efficiency. So it depends completely on the project.
But there is it doesn't happen that the customer said we want that a certain percentage of the load must be transported by rail. That is not, it's not common. Like in general, no? Not focusing on a specific point.
As mentioned, it depends. Completely depends on the project. Maybe I'm not fully understanding you, Celestino.
No, because I mean, we know that there are certain sectors that they are interested because maybe environmental reason that they say 50% of the ton kilometers must be transported by rail. So it means that should be somehow. That is, if you know that, or if you have some relationship with companies with similar requirements.
It is then. This is what I said before. For instance, we have current a process, a road, in which we send some parts of materials to one point in Belgium. Okay, we reach them by truck. In Belgium, they are put all together, consolidated, some other loads together in containers, and then these containers are loaded into trucks. In this case, the truck, in train, sorry. In this case, the shipment of the train is not managed by DHL. Okay, so in this case, we are forced to get with our trucks into the train station for them to load the container on top of the train. You know, so in this case, we are forced to do this because the one who is preparing or managing the whole route has decided this due to efficiency, whatever reason. But this happens.
Okay.
It is not strange.
Okay. Yeah, the next question is, can you describe the process by which you select a transport solution for a specific shipper, very briefly?
Okay. Currently, well, since 2 years ago, we are selecting for truck transport, road transportation, providers with low emissions. We give a certification to the different providers of this kind of services if they cover certain environmental requirements. It is to have less than, I don't know how many grams per kilometer of pollution, contamination gas or whatever, and we are trying to force to get this certification to use this less contaminant fuel that has recently been developed by some companies. So we give them this certification. This means that once one vendor, one provider gets this certification, they are in our top list of providers to select. Okay. In this case, DHL is very seriously impacted in the environmental impact, and we prefer to work with providers or service providers, transport providers that covers these environment requirements, that for the same route to use one that is not covering these requirements.
This certification is given by yourself.
Yeah, it's an internal certification. Yeah.
And I mean, but I mean, I see that is a part. I mean, I imagine that you make some estimation and you consider different parameters.
Yeah.
But apart from the certification, do you follow like a standardized process that you check, like price or reliability or previous experiences?
Yes, for sure. In this certificate, apart from having this certification, we used to work with providers that work with a certain tariff threshold. Okay, and with the performance that is inside our requirements. Okay, if one transport company start giving worse performance because they always deliver late or whatever, we just take them off of the list, and we will never work with them until they prove us that they work. In fact, we can say that 90% of our services are contracted with this kind of this short list, or short but reduced list of transport providers, and just the 10% of the 10% is given to another party, another companies in which we test that we give them these services to test them what the performance is. So we are continually trying to get the best service providers inside this list.
That is something I imagine you have developed some system to evaluate
yes.
this parameter. Okay.
Yes.
And coming back to the contract, for instance, you mentioned, but I think that's very interesting. You have this 90% of loads using the companies that you used to work with, and new 10% to test the performance. Do you have? Do you use the same contract, or do you make some?
No, the same. Yeah, they have to fit. They have to fit our requirements, because, as mentioned, these are the requirements that we get from our customers, and to protect our company for sure.
I mean, the contract in this case, you contact a transport operator and you tell them we have this condition. I mean, the question is, do you have some room for negotiation with transport operator, or that is something that we have this condition? Can you fulfill this condition?
Very good questions. In most of the cases, we have room for. We have these fixed requirements, but during peak season, we have to include room for negotiation, because if we don't negotiate or accept some other conditions, they are analyzed legally and all this stuff, we will not be able to give the service. Okay, there is a point in here that, as my role in the innovation area, we use demand forecasting tools based on artificial intelligence, in order to predict how many transport needs I will need in 3-4 months in advance. So we've got time enough to find out, to reorganize, to count with new and test new transport service provider to get into this list. And the accuracy of this tool at this moment is over 98%. So just for every 100 vehicles, 98 are pre-contracted and pre-organized, and only the risk is, or our only risk is in the 2 of this out of each 100 trucks, in which we have to adapt or reinterpret or renegotiate, or as you said, include some additional negotiation in that part. But it is very reduced.
So this tool make an estimation of the order that maybe in 2 months, that without you having this information, based probably in previous situation, you estimate that in 2 months you are going to have a certain amount of orders. That's what it. This tool.
That's it. Okay. And in fact, the tool gives us, including the number of trucks. They give us the number of the tool translates the movements in the warehouse or in the customer, translates it into pallets, and then translates it into trucks.
And based on this information, you establish the contract with the transport operator.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. We start preparing everything with a transport agency number 1. We've got this route from Madrid to Paris, for instance. We need to cover this to deliver, to pick up the load from this in this time, in this place, and deliver in the estimated time of arrival. It will be that time in that very moment. We will need 5 trucks, for instance, going fully load, and we negotiate the prices in there. It's a good point for the transport agencies because they can ensure business with 4 months advance. We sign these contracts with these agreements with them, ensuring that we are going to give them these volumes. Okay, so yeah, this is the point.
So you get the information that you get with this tool is really very, very
accurate,
very
yes.
exact, so to speak.
Yeah,
So, okay, this is
98% of accuracy, yes, and improving every quarter. It's improving. Some decimal, it's improving.
And coming back to the contract, because you said, if I understood that right, that new condition may be added in peak season. Is this right?
Yeah.
So what,
yeah.
why,
for this 2% of for this 2% of the trucks that we are in risk, because we have not predicted them, we have predicted a little bit below the real needs when the time comes. Maybe if we want to get these 2 additional trucks, we have to pay a little bit more or include any additional claim in the contract.
So, and the transport operator, you tell them, no, that we have this tool and there is this margin, and then you discuss this later, no? Like you kind of leave it this open, like saying that maybe we add a little bit more, or they don't know this.
When we made the prediction, we start closing the roads for the next for the next 4 months. Okay, and as time is coming, we see how accurate has been the prediction. If I see that my prediction for 28 hours is lower than the real expectation, because the customer has told me, okay, for the day after tomorrow, you will have to send two more trucks in there. We have failed in this accuracy because we have received more than expected. So to get these 2 additional trucks in very short time, we have to deal with the transport service provider. So, but this is our risk. In that point, we have to accept the tariff that we will need for the service provider give us for these 2 trucks. But it's all. We don't need to negotiate for the 100 trucks, just for these 2 residual one.
So then you kind of 2 different contracts. You make the contract for the whole part, and then if you need additional trucks, you make some small contracts.
Adaptation.
That Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that is,
and the deviation in the contract will be mostly related to tariff. Okay, because as the close is the time for what you need the transport, the higher the price is. Because there's a constant demand. The number of trucks or the transport devices or services is not infinite; it's infinite. And then we reach a peak season. All service providers are demanding the service. So when the demand increases, the price increases too.
Okay, so you close.
The trick here is to reduce the risk in this negotiation.
But the condition of the contract, so to speak, I mean, what you kind of negotiate the costs. I mean, the rest, the clauses are
because it is mainly that we the claims if you don't reach the time the destination on time, if the load is damaged, for instance, or if the load is lost. Okay, these are fixed. The claims for this is fixed. More or less is the value of the load plus the insurance or whatever additional cost it is. But it is fixed. The only thing we move is the tariff.
Yeah, and with this tool, you close the contract with, of course, a more reduced price for the thing that you order with month
in advance
before, and then you pay like more for the 2 or 3 trucks that you have to. Okay. Interesting. So I think let's move. I mean, we have talked a bit about this, so let's move forward. I mean, the next question is for shipper is not that critical, and we have here. The question number 8 is dedicated originally for shipper, but I think it's also interesting for you. When you make contract with a shipper, we have here a list of elements. Which of these elements do you think is more relevant for the shipper? I mean, maybe the first question would be: is there one of these is always, for instance, the most important, or it depends? It varies a lot among different sectors. I don't know if you can you see the?
Yeah, I can see them.
Okay.
I think that the list is that. I think it's perfect, and okay. I think depending of in my experience, depending on the contract, maybe that the freight rates and the reliability change. You know, okay. For sometimes reliability or performance can be the first, but the freight rates are important. Safety is important too. So I think it's security is important too, depending on if you are transporting and sending iPhones, for instance. So the security around the load is very important. Safety is very important too, because in DHL in our certification we include some kind of code of conduct of our service providers, in order to be sure that they, for instance, do have no debts with the state's tax payment. They don't employ for sure children or there is a list of a code of conduct that they have to sign or to work with us. So it's important.
This code of conduct is for the transport operator.
In fact, it is for all providers of DHL. Any of the providers, even the IT providers, the provider that give us the laptops, whatever, they have to sign. If they want to work with DHL, they have to sign this code of conduct. This is common.
Okay, regarding, because you mentioned the security, I mean, the security, as I understand, that is important for you. I mean, when you sign a contract with a supplier, I mean, the supplier, I imagine that they are imagining that, I mean, their products are going to be transported to a specific point. Do they have the supplier, do they ask for a specific clauses related to security?
For instance, can you give me an example?
Yeah, I mean, because you said that security of the load is important, because, for instance,
depending on the value of the load.
Yeah. But the question is, I understand that is very important for you, because if the load is stolen, you have to pay, or you
compensate.
have to the question is, if the customer supplier asks you specifically for some specific clause in the contract for this.
Yeah, we have to we signed that we have to have an insurance to cover this kind of events.
Okay.
For the value of the load.
Okay. So I think that has been replied. That is for the next questions for the shipper, but I think it's also interesting. Do you inform the shipper about decision taking during the transport? Like, we are going to use this truck instead of this truck, or this route instead of the other route, or that is not something that the shipper are interested in?
It is very interesting, because in order to ensure, for instance, that we are going to that the shipper is going to reach the delivery point at a certain time and date, they have to give the road to us. Okay. In fact, imagine, for security reasons, if the shipper uses a risky route, we have to know, because maybe that the insurance does not cover that risky road, because it goes through a war zone or wherever you can imagine.
Okay.
So it is important to know the route, to know any change. Even, for instance, if the ship is if we put a container on top of the ship, and if the name of the ship is changed, we have to be notified, because our tracking systems need to track that ship. in order to know that okay, it is in the estimation time of arrival of this ship is this time at this port and not other. So all this information is very important to be included, not in the contract because it will be the roads are not fixed and the services are not fixed, but during the service it is included that this modification has to be notified to the logistics service provider, just to be sure that we ensure our supplier that everything arrives properly.
Okay, and for the customer.
Yeah, for the customer.
But do the customer require that you inform them about the route of their loads, or I mean, like technical decisions that you may take
okay.
or if you are going to use train for this leg of the transport instead of truck, or they don't, or are they not interested on this?
Normally not. They are not interested, with the exception that I mentioned at the beginning. If we collaborate with different logistics service providers to consolidate loads in some points, we have to notify them that, okay, this container will not arrive by train, it will arrive by boat, by ship, and then a truck will pick up from the port and send it to the consolidation point. All these things has to be modified because the papers that are included in the no, that's aduana, sorry. How you say aduanas in English?
That's a good question.
I forgot.
I mean, I have that in German. This Zoll. It's in German Zoll, but I don't know. But
okay.
It's okay. I mean, I understand.
Okay. Yeah. And because the papers going through some to enter one country or another depends if you get by boat or you get by train, you get by truck. So all the CMRs, the contract that is justifying that this truck is on that container has to be modified too.
Okay. So next question. I mean, we have used here shipper as synonym of customer, because I mean, I think I have said the word shipper a few times, but I think that you use it in the other way around. No? You have the customer, and you use the word shipper as transport operator. I think that is okay. That's to be clear, because I think
it's the same.
Eric used it in a different way here when he wrote this, but now it's clear. So here is we talk a little bit already about this. Have you negotiated the content of contract beyond pricing in some occasion?
Yes.
And which parts, which elements?
For instance, to ensure that we've got GPS tracking for an temperature transmission. Okay. So, for instance, you have to include that depending of the service of the load or whatever. So this is very common. Some special requirements of the transportation, for instance, that it is very common that we include in the contracts depending of the load you are shipping. If the pallets can be put one on top of the other or not. This is very important because if you can put them, you can save a lot of space in a truck or in a container or in a boat or on a train. But if they are fragile load, you cannot put them. You cannot do this. Okay, remontability, I think it is called. So we have to, depending of the type of load, we have to include something or not. Okay.
And in this case, you use, as mentioned, like the standard contract that you have, and you add some clauses specifically for this element. And is this common? Because I mean,
yeah. It's the way normally working. All logistics service provider and transport companies work like this. Yes.
And you have to. I mean, is that it's common that you have to add specific clauses, or that is only a very specific cases?
This is a very good question. Because if for instance, depending, it depends on the load. For instance, when you ship fresh food, there are different temperatures for fresh food. For instance, berries, red berries, have to be kept at 4 degrees. Not much, not over, not below. But lettuces, for instance, or flowers, or oranges, may vary up to 12, I think, 12 degrees. So depending on the load, we have to adapt the contract and the requirements to what we are required to transport. And this happens. It happens if you put the same. If you put a container on a train, the container has to include this temperature control, or in a boat or whatever. You have to ensure that.
Okay, so for instance, this is more this special requirement are more typical in the transportation of fresh fruit. But for other sector, for instance, for automotive sector, do you think that it's also common that you get some special requirement, or
no? For automotive, the common or the one that is common in total context is the time, the what we call the ETA, the estimated time of arrival. This is the point. But for instance, if we we transported laptops or iPhones, we will require a GPS tracking, for instance, every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, or we are required to register all the times that the doors of the truck or the container are open. But it depends on the requirements of some of them don't require, they just focus. I give you my load, my iPhones, and then you deliver at that point. You are the responsible for that. Then we cover that with insurance. Maybe do we include by our decision tracking services or whatever. It depends, completely depends on the on the needs.
Okay. So I mean, in the end, it looks like you have always to negotiate some parts, even if they are minor parts. It's not a core, but okay.
Yeah, we have to be sure that the requirements are, in this world, the requirements every supplier has its own requirements for their product. Some of them are top technology products. Some of it are top delicacies or some delicatessen products. So it depends. For instance, for chocolate transportation, you have to ensure temperature. You have to ensure that you not even transport, but even you unload the chocolates in a room with temperature. So it depends. We include different claims because in our experience, most of our suppliers are different. The good thing is that once you've got the one contract for berries, you will use the same contract, but it will change for oranges, it will change for Samsung, it will change for automotive parts, because every sector has its own demands.
And this contract, because you said that once you have one contract for a specific product, you can use it for with the same customer or also with different customer?
With different,
Because that is
the requirements are the same, more or less the same in every stock sector, industry.
Okay. So there are some standards, so to speak, that can be transferred from. Okay, that is interesting. Okay, so this is the question: what are the main elements that are included in the contract regarding intermodal transport? Like, do you have specific clauses on using part of rail, part of road transport, part of ship, or it's not something that you use very often?
I think that in this case, it is the estimated time of arrival is the key point that we have to ensure that it's included and followed in every contract. Then everything may change. For instance, for berries, we have to ensure that always that there is no change of temperature. But I can say that ETA is the most common. Is the obligated one, let's say. is the one that everyone requires. even for our e-commerce deliveries, we are forced to deliver in an ETA, no? Because our customers, our and B2C customer, our end customer, and us like customers, if we are told that we'll receive it tomorrow, we want it tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow. So this is mandatory, and we are penalized if we don't cover this.
Okay, that is. Do you guarantee quantities per week? That is for customer. That is not for you. How are the freight rates calculated? Do you have some specific procedure for this, or some tables, or?
Yeah, there is a complete tariff rate card that we've got in our systems. And it depends on the point of origin, the day of the week, the load hour, the delivery hour, the kilometers, the type of truck, if it's certificated or not by DHL. There is a complete, huge rate card that we include in our system, and continually we are modifying and adapting. We include a new contract with new tariffs or rates or criteria. We have to modify our transport management systems to include all these things. For instance, if there is a part of it's not only truck, if it's by boats, if it's by train, we have to adapt all these, and which rail company, which boat company, with shipping company are we working. All this is included in this rate card.
Okay, that is always updated, not you add input somehow, and when you get a require from a customer, you check this system and you tell them it's going to cost this.
Like that. Okay. Yeah. For instance, it is in the exception I told you before, in this 10% of the trucks that we have to negotiate a part of our preferred ones. If we count on them as maybe they are more expensive because they are out of our preferred list, we have to translate or take into account this pricing at that very moment to give the price to our supplier. So depending on the company, we are going to consider for this route, this transport company, this shipping company. Then we give this information to the customer.
Okay. And this information is automated, for instance, regarding the supplier, the transport operator. You have the interface and they introduce information on real time, because they, as you said, they increase the prices, closes, and you only have to check the system and you get it directly.
That's it. Yes.
Okay, regarding compensation, do you have any system to define the compensation in case of losses, damages, and these kind of things?
It depends on the reason of the damage. For instance, if the load is lost, I think we've got 3 days by contract to wait for this load to appear. If it does not, if the load does not appear in this period, then we mark the load as lost, and there is a cost of the in the agreement we've got with our supplier. There is a cost established by this for this load in this transportation, and we are covered by an insurance.
Okay. So it's a very close system, no? That is the line 3 days, and then you move this thing to the insurance, and they take care of the.
That's in the case if it's lost or disappeared. But there is some other kind of if the load is damaged, we have to analyze. We have to identify where the load was damaged. Was it loaded into the truck or in the train or in the boat and it was okay? Then the transporter, the shipper is the responsible for having damaged it. We have to prove that. For that, we have the procedure that we every time we make a change, certain changes of the of the load. We make pictures or have our sensors of movement inside the pallets, inside the container, inside the truck, and we identify that. We can sometimes, not always, but we can identify it. It is very common, for instance, that if we load a pallet of, I don't know, bottles of water, imagine.
Yeah.
And it arrives to the supermarket damaged, it is completely broken or whatever. Every load that DHL performs in their warehouses, we make a picture of every pallet that we load to ensure that our last point of touch of that load was okay. And we mark, we put a timestamp on this picture, and then if a claim is received, hey, this load was damaged in the delivery, okay, but it was loaded fine. So the final the customer has to claim to, well, it claims to DHL because it's the one who is managing all this, but we can then claim to the transport company. If the transport company decides not to pay us, or we go to court, or in place, if it's a problematic shipper, then we delete them from our preferred ones because of this conflictive one, and it's a risk not only for DHL but for the service that we offer to our customer, to our suppliers.
Yeah, they are kind of penalized, no? In this case, if they don't. Okay. And all of this included in the contract somehow?
Yes. Yes.
Is it a kind of a standard block?
Yeah, in fact, the law in Spain and Portugal, I think in the whole Europe, says like that. I mean, the loader is the responsible until the load is shipped, and when the load is shipped until the delivery, the responsible is the one who is shipping the load. It's included in the European law.
So it looks very straightforward, no? In this case, like, that is very clear, and you probably don't need additional clauses for this in the contract because it's very clear. Okay. Okay. Do you have any rules for additional costs? Here is the example of the tools with, for instance, with a customer that, I don't know, there is some problem with a transport infrastructure, or there's something unexpected. Do you have any clause for this? Or do you assume the risk of this kind of cases?
Sometimes we assume the risk because normally transportation in Europe is not conflictive one. But in case that, for instance, there is a strike that paralyze all the main roads or ports or whatever, we are covered by insurance to cover this delay on the delivery or whatever.
So the logic in DHL is that you kind of cover this via insurance. So I imagine that you have a list of cases, and that is a way of you don't give this cost, or you don't try to give this cost to the company.
So it is a responsibility of the one who manages or has the agreement to deliver something, in this case DHL, and with their subcontractors or shippers in the middle that we have to deal with.
I understand. When you talk a bit about this, when does custody start or end? That is, you said,
it is very clear in the law which is responsible in every part of the chain of the custody. So once the load is loaded, the loader ends its custody, delivers it to the shipper. If the shipper delivers to another shipper, the custody is transferred. Because of that, there is a common contract as called CMR in Europe, in which all this information is registered, so that if there is a problem at the border, now this is the word for the aduana at the border, or with the police in the middle, you can justify with this contract, with this CMR, who is the initial loader, what are you loading, and what is your next step for this load.
Okay. And it's coming back to the CMR. Do you have this system is digitalized somehow, or is still, or do you need a lot of paperwork yet?
Very good question. Very good question. Most of our transportation processes are digitalized, including CMR. Okay, but some of our shippers are not completely digitalized. Okay, maybe we can deliver them an ECMR, but they cannot transfer it or to handle it. One of the criteria for get this certification is to have this ECMR established. We cannot force for that because it is not legally forced now at this moment in Europe to have to use this ECMR because they have been postponed the date in which it will be obligatory for all the parts, but we try to promote the use of this for the shippers and what we work with.
Okay. And do you have, I mean, this process, do you have an internal system and the companies you work with have to connect with your system?
Yes. But this is a very good question because the main ones include this integration via interfaces, electronic interfaces, to get all this information. But the small companies don't have them. They we just send them by mail, or we show them in a web page. They have to download it and then they print and then they manage as they want. But this is one of our recommendations for this certification. Because we tell them, okay, you know that in 2 years you will have to use ECMR. Please start via that thing. We recommend you using our web page. With this, via this web page, you can see the ECMR in your mobile, so you don't need to have the paper. But some of the companies decide to print it, but we try to convince them.
That is the system that you use. That is, you have developed the system, and that is, I mean, other logistics service provider have a different system, or do you have a kind of standard?
No. This is different. The only standard is the content of the ECMR and the format, for instance, but the systems are completely different. What we work when we interconnect is just using APIs or edit documents or whatever in order to, because this is more standardized for the integration. Okay, but the system, the applications are completely different for sure.
And do you know if there is any idea or any proposal to go to a more harmonized system, or there is not a topic in the sector?
For a what? Sorry.
For the system, for the CMR, or for the interchange of documents, because you said that you have a proprietary system at the DHL, but I mind that other companies have a different system. Do you know if there is any discussion about trying to harmonize the different system, or it's not?
Well, no. I think it is out of scope, and it will be impossible to harmonize that. It does not happen in all the logistic world. Every logistics service provider has its own preferred system, vendors, IT vendors, or whatever. The important thing is that they are capable to understand them. Okay? It doesn't matter if you work with Unix or with Windows. It doesn't matter. The important thing is that you can interconnect all the system and they understand what they send and what we. For instance, you know SAP is an ERP for customers. We interconnect with most of our supplies. We interconnect with our systems with their SAPs or different ERPs, and they are not the same vendor. And they are not. We are not using SAP, for instance. We're using other technologies, but we interconnect with them. The important thing is that they use common languages in the interconnection.
Okay. So there is, I might know there is some level of harmonization at the level of reader of the exchange of document, but you can use different system. Okay.
Yeah, it is named this way of connecting is the integration. Okay, when you talk about integration, it means that one system you are agnostic of the system, the other is agnostic of the system, but the integration has to be capable. And in this case, there are common protocols that are used in all companies, not only logistics services, for integration of different machines.
Okay, so that was the last question.
Cool.
That's been very very
Intense.
interesting. Yeah, very interesting discussion with you, and I think that we got a lot of very valuable information. Yeah, I mean, I would like to thank you for your time, and
You're
as
very
mentioned,
welcome.
you
If
provided
in
a
the
lot of
meanwhile,
very.
if in the meanwhile something appears is not clear, please feel free to contact, and I will try to clarify.
Okay.
Okay. No
Okay,
problem for that.
I will pass this information to Eric Feyer, from this person from UIRR. He may have some specific question to complement, or there's some missing information, maybe not. So we will. I mean, in any case, we will contact you for a transcription, or so that you can check that the information is right and there was no misunderstanding. And maybe if we see that we need some additional information, it will be good, then we will contact you with
Sure.
this.
My pleasure.
Okay, so yeah, thank you very much,
Thank you very
Juan
much.
Manuel. And Maria, I don't know if you are there. Yeah.
No, I think she's out. I think
Okay,
she sent me a message.
Yeah. Ok.
No.
Vale, sí, creo que se ha desconectado ya. Pues
Sí,
bueno, ahora
sí,
te lo
sí.
digo en español. Es lo que, muchas gracias por tu tiempo y bueno, estamos probablemente en contacto para lo que te comentaba de la transcripción.
Perfecto, pues muchas gracias.
Muy
Un
bien,
saludo y buen
muy
día.
bien. Un saludo. Hasta
Hasta
luego.
luego, adiós.